Welcome everybody to another episode of Fantasy News. I am your disheveled goblin host Daniel Greene, and today I am excited to show off our brand new merch drop, the TBR merch. And we are actually so proud of this design, we're doing a little bit of a test of it. It's the only design we're going to be putting out. Before, there's kind of been like a wave each time, but Kayla and I developed this idea of like a bust with a vortex and books spilling in together, and we were so happy with the result from our artist, linked here, that we're just like, don't crowd the space. Our best sellers have usually been like stuff related to the literary community, so if you would like a t-shirt, sweatshirt, crop hoodie of the TBR design, or a sticker, go ahead and jump on over to danielbgreene.com, and of course, patrons are getting a discount. Like, I might get this tattooed on me. I love it. Full transparency, we changed one thing from the prototype I'm wearing. The font for To Be Red, we changed to be a more classic, like, carved into a bust font. So it's gonna be this, what you're seeing on screen now, instead of what's on my nipple. That's not actually where my nipple's placed. My nipple's there.
That was unnecessary.
But with that out of the way, it is time to go ahead and jump into the cover reveals for the week. Because boy, oh boy, maybe the biggest news of the week is the fact who's calling me. But with that out of the way, it is time to jump into the cover reveals of the week because, well, maybe the biggest news of this week is going to be a cover reveal. And that is because for the Brandon Sanderson Secret Project 5, yes, there is another one. The deluxe edition cover has been put out. Set to be released February 3rd of 2026, Isles of the Emberdark, the Dragonsteel edition with cover art by Rebecca Jensen, will be available for 60 schmeckles, which coincidence equals exactly $60. Good job, Schmeckles. You're performing great. Now, this was actually released about 7-8 days ago, so I'm a little bit late to it, and we've even seen other YouTube news outlets cover it, so I just wanted to say, hey y'all, I'm sorry for not being like on the pulse immediately, and if I could bring in my reporting team, the fantasy news contributors in the Discord server, for a private meeting real quick. All right, thank you everyone for coming in, but seriously, what the hell? A Sanderson story flying under the radar. What kind of news team are we if we can't even catch a Sanderson story? It's Ilian. You're the biggest Cosmere fan that I know, and this just flew you right by. Apollo, don't you laugh. You just got promoted to lead this bullpit, and this happens under your watch in the first week. While we're airing things out, Aquia Soul, we all regret hiring your son to work the front desk. Why? He's stealing keyboards. Oh, how do I know? I bought one off him last week. No. Keycaps weren't included. Okay, look. I understand that you're all unpaid volunteers just posting stories in the Discord server. I appreciate that. And that's kind of the end of that sentiment, and this joke has run its course. But this next cover reveal comes with an additional piece of news, and that is because we have seen Gollancz make a 3-book deal with JT Greathouse. Greathouse is the BFA nominated author of the Pact and Pattern trilogy. But with this deal, Gollancz has already released the cover for the first new book from Greathouse as a part of this deal, The Tower of the Tyrant. The world beyond the City of the Wise is fraught with danger, but Fola, a talented sorceress who has left the safety of its walls, is unconcerned. She's on the hunt for magical remnants left behind by the first folk, ancient beings who are but whispers of a memory. Only by finding them might she uncover the secret to their power and a way to pull the Rivenlands out of the darkness. And this appeals to me for 2 reasons. 1, cover kicks ass. Unfortunately, the artist, not credited. 2, I love fantasy that focuses on like ancient societies and rediscovery of magic. Hence why I love Wheel of Time. Haha, I did mention it in this video. I'm gonna mention it in every video until I die. Sorry. And it's also great to see a kind of newer success get a multi-book deal on this level. Greathouse, well, he certainly has a catalog under his belt. He's not like one of these established super names in the indie scenes you're seeing get these deals more and more. The industry is still alive and thriving. I'm happy to see it. But speaking of big name authors releasing new material, Ken Liu, the author of the Dandelion Dynasty and the mind behind Pantheon, one of my favorite animated shows of recent memory, has had a cover reveal for his near future science fiction thriller, all that we see or seem. Set to be released October 9th of this year, in a world where the dark algorithms of AI have permeated every aspect of life, from politics to culture to war, even our dreams. That doesn't feel like a full pitch, like it ends and I'm like, what? And while that's a cool idea, and I'm sure everything Ken Liu, especially around technology, does is going to be of high quality, I think for pretty obvious reasons, am not going to be consuming fiction books with AI central to them for a while. It hits too close to home for me right now. And if I'm able to find the cover artist, I'll have them linked right here. I do like the effect of this cover. It's kind of cool. You know what? Cover of the week. I just made the decision spur of the moment. Cover of the week. Hot damn, I like this little boxing effect. It looks like a tower computer. I get it. I'm in on the joke. Or idea. Whatever. But in an update to last week's fantasy news, a story that I was actually kind of concerned to devote so much time to, but I felt was really important. As you are aware, the narrator for the longest running fantasy series of all time, The Wandering Inn, after creating over 600 hours of content for the series, has officially decided that they are burnt out and need to pass the torch to another narrator. And after narrating this much material, I think it's understandable, especially because we have gotten the announcement of who the new narrator is. After working with Andrea Parsnew for months in preparation for taking over The Wandering Inn, Aaron Bennett will officially be the new voice of the series, with an impressive catalog of audiobooks already under their belt, including Swan Song, The Edge, With a Vengeance, To Die For, The Perfect Couple, The Perfect Child, and like, look at, I can just keep scrolling. They are a veteran voice actor. And I know some people might just be thinking like, okay, cool, longest series ever, getting a new qualified voice actress. Nice. But I want to add on to that. You have to remember, this is like still an entirely indie series that has already had a phenomenal voice performance behind it, now able to snag up a big name to be long-term committed to it while remaining independent. I don't know, this just kind of stuff excites me and I think is so neat and indicative of the times of just the freedom of creativity the internet allows for these communities. Congratulations, Aaron Bennett. We will miss you, Andrea Parsnew, and I'm looking forward to getting to the new condensed version that's restarting The Wandering Inn here in the next couple of months. Yeah, now I'm about to make some people's ears perk up, and that's because we have had unreleased writings from Robert Jordan put out. No, it's not any fiction or new story, but instead, the founder of Tor recently had their birthday, Tom Doherty. And as a part of that, the Tor website has published a letter that Robert Jordan had written to Tom from 2005. And I'm not going to read the whole thing here because it's quite long, linked down below, of course, as well as the rest of the stories I talk about here beneath the like button, wink. But the way the letter closes is so sweet, as it reads, Barry Sadler of Ballad of the Green Barrett fame and the author of a number of adventure novels once said to me, Tom Doherty is best of breed. It's true. I cannot imagine a better publisher or a better friend. It has been nearly 25 years that we have worked together. I hope there will be many more, at least. For those of you unaware, this also means it's Tor's birthday because Tom Doherty and Tor share one. And on top of that, Tor was responsible for publishing nearly all of Robert Jordan's work, including the Wheel of Time series, and they have many of the most recognizable authors in the fantasy space as a part of their catalog as well. And Robert Jordan used to post his blog to their website, so this is kind of like a nice full circle moment for a whole lot happening, and it's sweet. But buidu, this takes me to a correction to a video I put out last week. Before I put up my full review of Season 3, I decided to cover the story that was taking over the internet and fantasy circles as I was seeing, and that is that iWatt, the video game IP rights holder for Wheel of Time, has announced they are planning to put out the most ambitious video game ever conceived. That's not a joke. And I did a full breakdown coverage of it you can check out there. But within that video, I accidentally gave iWatt too much credit, believe it or not, because I said that they are responsible for the graphic novel series that has gotten to the second book in adapting the Wheel of Time. That is not true. They put out the New Spring graphic novel, but after that, another company took over. So I'm sorry, iWatt, for giving you too much credit for what you've done with the Wheel of Time IP. I rescind it, and now we may move on to the next story. Season 3 review of Wheel of Time there, and IWAT most ambitious video game RPG announcement for the Wheel of Time ever coverage right here. But this is going to take us to the latest wider industry news, and I'm excited to say that we are having quite a bit of it focus around major franchises getting adapted by creatively interesting people. And we're going to start with the latest casting news for Greta Gerwig's Narnia adaptation, because it has been confirmed that Emma Mackey has been cast in a major role, reuniting with the Barbie director. Now remember, we already covered this is not going to be adapting The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but instead will be the 6th book in the series, The Magician's Nephew, something that takes place earlier in the Narnia timeline. It's being said in these articles that Emma Mackey is going to be playing the White Witch, which, if that's true, fantastic. I'd love to see that. Though some of the articles have been phrasing it as like that's possibly who she's playing, while others are framing it as like for sure. So just keep that in mind. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Emma Mackey's work, she's absolutely sensational in the show Sex Education, which is a show I've had like occasionally a hard time getting to people watch due to the title. It's genuinely a great teen drama. Coming from the UK, intelligently written, really worth it, highly recommend. But in the last week, we have also had a multitude of castings drop for the Hunger Games prequel adaptation that is in the works, and the stars joining that adaptation include Jesse Plemons to play
Plutarch,
Heavensbee, McKenna Grace to play
Macely,
Donner, and Joseph Zada as Hamish Abernathy, and Whitney Peake as Lenore Baird. And question for Hunger Games fans. I read the original books so long ago, I basically do not remember them. The movies as well have just like totally taken over my memory of that story. Do I need to reread them before getting into this prequel? Because I know some prequels you can just like read, no worry, but like Wheel of Time, you should not start with New Spring. That should be like right after the 6th book. So let me know if I can go ahead and jump back and just read that prequel, or if it's like required reading to get through the trilogy. Thank you. And as much as I'm trying to be in Amazon's good graces right now so that they'll renew Wheel of Time for season 4, I have to cover their recent move in a new segment here on Fantasy News called Bezos's Move of the Week. Because it's like once a week we're covering something from Amazon now. And that is because Amazon just so happened, would you believe it, to hold their big massive book sale during Independent Bookstore Day. Now, to be fair, a representative from Amazon has said this was purely a coincidence, responding to an inquiry saying, "The overlap was unintentional. The dates for our sales were set this year to accommodate additional participating countries." But other players within the book space that specifically have spent like careers trying to help independent bookstores, I would say didn't buy that response, with several quotes coming in response that range in hilarity. Andy Hunter, the founder of bookshop.org, called the move cynical, manipulative, and cruel. Leah Koch, owner of the Ripped Bodice in Los Angeles, a local bookstore, was even more blunt with saying, Jeff Bezos, continuing to Variety, "May he be very miserable living alone on the moon." And let me know if you believe Amazon did this accidentally by posting a 1 in the comment section, and if you think they did it intentionally, go ahead and post a 2 in the comment section. And if you're somewhere in between, go 1.5 or like 1.2. You know, you've got a range there. I'm giving you space. And I've been trying to place a pin on the emotion this story has given me, like a word to describe what it feels like if Amazon did intentionally do this. And the best phrase that comes to mind, because I can't make it just a word, is an unfortunate example of free will. It's a bad example of what free will can allow people to do. But hey, are you a weirdo who likes sick media? Yeah, I bet you are. Well, you'll probably be happy to hear that H.P. Lovecraft's that guy, to be clear, but like he's dead. So moving on, his Reanimator is going to be getting a new adaptation. For those of you who don't know, this H.P. Lovecraft story was already very loosely adapted in a cult classic series of sci-fi horror films that range in quality. They are worth watching if you like seeing extraordinarily messed up stuff on screen in the day and age where it was all done with like practical effects. But this new adaptation is being headed by Adam Simon and Tim Metcalf. And if you're interested in what the premise of Reanimator is, it's kind of in the name. It's a scientist who's obsessed with reanimating the dead. So How weird could that get? Weirder than you think. I realized I couldn't even show an unblurred slight bit of that scene, so I figured I'd do my best to describe it without getting demonetized. So what you all just saw was a severed head put between it's a reanimated undead head, and there's also angle to the situation. Yeah, it's that kind of movie. But this is going to take us to this week's Quickie news, so let's go. There is an urban legend reboot in the works from Gary Doberman and Neil Moritz. Bethesda has gifted free Oblivion remaster keys to Skyblivion, a team that spent years trying to recreate Oblivion in Skyrim through mods. And Split Fiction is already getting adapted and has tapped Sydney Sweeney to star. And that is the fastest turnaround I believe I have ever seen from a video game getting released to mainstream adapted live action. That is like crazy quick, right? But in the trailer news of the week, we have seen Dandadan get its trailer for season 2, and that theme song has not left my head despite season 1 not sticking to my memory super well. Dandadan follows the very strange story of kids who find out that both aliens and ghosts are real through a bet, and that's the most normal part of it.
I'll let you suckle my boy, if you let me gobble your.
I'm so depressed I don't know what I'm doing.
A24 has released a trailer for The Legend of Ochi, which seems to be more in the vein of like A24's Marcel in the Shell vibe, where there is a society of special creatures that end up going on an adventure with a young woman. But with it being A24, the entire time I was watching this trailer, I was expecting it to shift gears into horror, because it's like, you know, animals that are big and hulking, and like, I don't know, I was expecting all of a sudden it to be like, dun dun, but no, it was wholesome all the way to the end. And in just as wholesome a vibe, we have gotten a trailer released for the new live-action Predator movie that is set to be released by 20th Century Fox in November of this year. Predator Badlands. And yeah, it seems like a new attempt at trying to bring in Predator, and it's also hinting at the 20th Century Fox allowing AVP-verse to reoccur as well, which, you know, as a Predator Alien fan, as long as it's dumb and schlocky in a fun way, I'm all here for it. But more notably for me, in the opening of the Predator trailer, you actually see a skull of the aliens from Independence Day, which 20th Century Fox also owns. Are they going to be brought into the fold? Are we three-way in these aliens? I'm in. But the final news of the week is going to come from yours truly. I just wanted to say thank you so much, everyone, for responding so well to me kind of pulling back on the amount of content I'm putting out here on the channel recently. Also for being crazy tolerant of the amount of Wheel of Time content that's been coming out, which has just been a delight for me to do. But it's been really great for my mental health, my balance of like work-life, and also just recovering from recent events. So people have been showing up, videos have been forming fantastically, and I just credit the goblins for showing me time and time again how generous and considerate they are. So I love you a lot. Thank you so much. If you want to go ahead and get this TBR design, it's available at danielbgreene.com. It's a sweatshirt, a t-shirt, a crop hoodie, and like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here, and have a good one, y'all. Peace.
Shout out to my latest high-tier patron, Casey.
I wonder if that Reanimator scene is still going to get me demonetized. Most likely.